What is going on, guys? Chris here. Welcome back to another video. So I've been running out of ideas already on what to talk about in said videos until last night when I was getting caught up on Game of Thrones. Well, not getting caught up, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones to get ready for the new season, which starts in April. And I saw it was either a Twitter post or a Facebook post that was talking about The Walking Dead coming back this Sunday, and I completely forgot. And I wanted to talk about how The Walking Dead saved their series, and it's in a very weird way, because in October 2010 I have a Facebook post which I just looked up to make sure I had the date right. I made a post that was the trailer for The Walking Dead season 1, and I put like new favorite TV show, because I've been a fan of zombie movies pretty much my entire life. I don't know why, it's just I watched scary movies since the time I was like 5. Legit. I watched them all the time since I was literally a child. I had nightmares all the time. I always had to go sleep with my mom, sleep with my dad, everything. I always had to, but I always kept watching them. Don't know why, but I did. I used to think my piggy bank, when I would turn off the lights in I had like this standing piggy bank. I thought it like got teeth, like it messed me up, but I kept watching them. So either way, after a while, I kind of got desensitized to to horror movies in general. So like, the stuff just didn't scare me anymore, but I still genuinely really liked scary movies until I started watching zombie movies, and then those scared me again. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll watch these, because that's what I do. I like watching scary movies that are actually scary. Obviously, I'm an adult now, so I don't, well, not saying, sorry. That sounds really rude for people that still get scared by scary movies, saying they're like not adult. But either way, I don't get scared by scary movies anymore. I just don't. I'm very understanding that they're fake, so it doesn't scare me. I just don't get scared. But either way, I still enjoy the horror genre very much. Always been a big fan of zombie movies, so World War Z, the book, the way back in the day, the Return of the Living Dead movies, Dawn of the Dead was one of my favorite movies for a very long time. So either way, very excited about Walking Dead when it came out, and I've been watching it since day one. I've never missed any episodes. I've always stuck up for the series when people thought it got dull, when people thought it got boring. The people that hated the filler episodes, which contained a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue, they wanted more of the action, the horror, but I liked those portions of the story because I liked the character building dynamic they were doing. So I liked it. I still liked it even through all the times where people hated it, until about 2.5 seasons ago. I was incredibly excited for Negan. Spoiler alert, I should have said this, I guess, at the beginning of the video, but I haven't really said much yet, because I assume at this point, even if you haven't watched the series or you're still getting caught up, you would kind of have heard about Negan. So before you watch any further, if you haven't gotten caught up on The Walking Dead, stop watching this video. If you keep watching it and you have stuff spoiled, I'm sorry. But either way, I was really excited for Negan coming along. I don't read the comics in general, so I didn't have a general idea of what happens in the story, but I just knew from reading briefly about Negan that he was the most iconic villain in the entire Walking Dead series so far. And I found out Jeffrey Dean Morgan was playing him. I was super excited about the casting role. And then All Out War, that story arc, the story arc of Negan and the war is called All Out War, lasted through 2.5 seasons. And it just felt very, very drawn out to me. And then not only that, but the decision to remove Carl from the show, when he's a huge integral part of where the comic leads to in terms of storytelling. Now again, I don't read the comics, but I at least kind of follow the comics enough to kind of know the general storyline. I make sure I don't see spoilers, but I get a general idea about where the seasons are heading, if that makes sense. So I don't give myself spoilers, but I knew that Carl was a integral part of the upcoming storylines. So when they decided to kill off his character, and the fact that we knew beforehand is what started to bother me. And then all of a sudden, it comes out that he was removed from the show. Okay, I don't know if these are speculation or rumors, but he's removed from the show for contract reasons. His contract was up. He could have made more money. He just bought a house in Atlanta, so he thought he was going to be on the show a few more years, and all of a sudden he gets called down to meet with Scott M. Gimple, and all of a sudden he's just off the show, right? So it didn't sit well with me. I don't like when stories and storytelling is compromised by money and by contracts. It really bothers me. I feel like the integrity of the story is more important than people not being able to figure out money, especially coming from a network. I imagine that Walking Dead is making enough money to pay for whatever they need to for the actors to continue in their roles. So either way, that set with me the wrong way. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy the decision. I didn't like the way it was done. I didn't like it. I literally did not like a single bit of it. All right. So moving forward, all of a sudden we find out Maggie and Rick are most likely not going to be in the next season either. Same reason, contract issues. So again, you get rid of what is and what is going to be, according to the storyline that Robert Kirkman has written. One of the most important characters moving forward in Carl. His story is getting about as interesting as it has ever been. And then they just kill him off. And then Rick and Maggie, arguably two of the other most important characters at this point in the story, are leaving as well. I think Maggie, same thing with contract issues, and then I know with Rick that just in real life, I think he wanted to be with his family more. He lives in England and always had to travel here for months to do shooting. He wanted to be with his family more, so that's not as much of a concern because I can respect that decision from his end. But the fact that, so either way, going into these seasons, I was even talking to somebody, one of my friends, about the show, and I was like, I just don't know if this is, in my top 2 or 3 favorite TV shows anymore. I just don't know if it is. The decisions they're making are ruining the TV show. I just did not like where the story was heading. So we move into this season. Maggie just disappears, right? She's in maybe one episode or so, and then, or maybe a couple, I don't even remember, and then is just gone. No reasoning. They're just like, oh yeah, well, yeah, you haven't heard from Maggie. Yeah, I just didn't like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, Rick only has 3 episodes left. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, they don't even have him, leaving in a finale. They don't, and I was sitting there, I had training for work about November and October, somewhere around there, and I was like, okay, well, how do they get rid of him? That is the only thing that will save this show for me. The only thing that can save this show is insert what I said. I gave him a brief description of the only ending I will accept for Rick's story is, and then I gave it to him, right? And I said, but I don't see how they do that. I don't see a solution for my current problem with The Walking Dead. Then we get to the episode. We get to Rick's final episode, right? In the meantime, I am trashing Scott M. Gimple for storytelling. Do not like it. Do not like the decisions. I'm still not in agreement with the Carl thing. All of it. Scott M. Gimple, in case people don't know, he's the showrunner. He is the person who dictates the story. Okay? And now Angela Kang has taken over for him, and he's taken more of a lead role, I guess, in AMC. So either way, we get to Rick's last episode. And it plays out exactly how I said to my friend it needed to play out, and they literally saved their show with the set of decisions and announcements that they made. So spoiler alert again, and I'll tell you what I said to my friend. I said, Rick cannot die. That is stupid. The only thing that will make this story salvageable is if Rick is alive and he can come wrap up his portion of the story in either a final season or come back. Like The Walking Dead is obviously going to end at some point. The story is obviously going to end. It needs to be concluded with Rick coming back, being involved in the final part of the story, us getting a brief or even a long, telling of where he went, what happened to him, etc., etc. I was like, that is what we need. The story is about Rick Grimes, and the story is about how Rick Grimes tries to save his children and keep his family alive while also dealing with the stresses and the political whatever of being a leader in an end of the world scenario. So I was like, that is the story. That's the story I'm watching. You've killed his children. Well, not his children, his child. And then all of a sudden he's dead. I'm like, so what is the point of The Walking Dead anymore? I'm not just watching The Walking Dead because I enjoy The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead isn't The Walking Dead without Rick to me. But they did exactly what they needed to. Rick is alive. He's been taken somewhere. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're telling me a different story inside The Walking Dead, and at some point you're going to fill me in on what happens with Rick. And at some point those two stories are going to intersect, and you can conclude both stories at the same time or vice versa. That's what I needed, and that's what they did. It was perfect. They then announced that Rick is getting his own few, either movies or storytelling to integrate the stories together. So that way Rick, Andrew Lincoln, that's the actor, can be home with his family and then also possibly shoot more Rick Grimes stories. So that'll be separate. It'll be on the AMC either as a movie or something like that. Literally perfect. It was literally everything they needed to do to save the series. So all the times I called out Scott M. Gimple for storytelling, completely take it back. Still not really happy about the Carl situation, but it is what it is. But either way, what they needed to do to salvage the series as a whole, in my opinion, for a lot of people, they did. They couldn't have done a better job. It was literally amazing. So either way, I needed to talk about that because coming from one of the biggest Walking Dead fans to as upset I was about the decision-making, the storytelling over the past 2.5 seasons, everything they needed to do to correct it, they did. The new story feels good. Angela Kang seems to be doing a very good job in terms of storytelling. It feels like a fresh story. I get to wait, and I get to at some point get more of Rick's story or a conclusion of Rick's story with the rest of The Walking Dead, also giving me what's going on not near him. Hopefully those stories can intersect and I can at some point get a final depiction of what happens overall, and we get an ending. I don't even know what that would be at this point because Robert Kirkman hasn't even written it. But anyways, I'm home, so that's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you guys got a suggestion for a video, leave it in the comments down below. I've gotten about 1,000 views over the past 48 hours. So we're building our way back up. And as always, I'll see you guys next video. Okay, bye.